Congratulations to Drakkar Klose. It was a great fight, to be honest with you. Um, am I surprised at the result? Not really, but I'm more surprised that. Well, maybe I'm not because I expect this from MMA fans, but like the narrative now that Israel Adesanya is washed. It's like washed. I don't how. I mean, if you watch the fight, first of all, just breaking down the fight here, I like the fact that Drakus was using the leg kicks. Um, I kind of had an inkling he was going to go to that, but I like it. Izzy defended a lot of them really well, but I just like the fact that he showed a little bit of variety because a lot of people who Izzy goes against, they they have one game plan and that's it, and they don't really mix it up. They don't show any kind of grit. They don't show any kind of urgency. I would say Robert Whitaker was the most diverse fighter that Israel Adesanya ever fought, but the other ones are like really one note. Jared Cannonier, he just has his power. Marvin Vettori has his wrestling. Even though Marvin Vettori, he has decent hands, but um, Alex Pereira was not dynamic, but it was a striking battle, so he didn't have to be. But um, that was really good to see. Now, Israel Adesanya, for his credit, he did really well in this fight. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. He did well. He did well, especially for a guy. You gotta think about this. Israel Adesanya is coming off of a nearly 1 year layoff in a fight. The last fight he was in, he got dropped in. It wasn't the best Adesanya performance, but he's coming off of a huge layoff against a guy that is way stronger than him. I mean, Drakus Du Plessis is way stronger than Israel Adesanya, and Israel Adesanya was defending the takedowns well. He was getting back to his feet. He was doing some nice body work. That's not a signal of a washed fighter. I don't understand, because you lose a fight, you're washed. So we just forget everything you did for the rest of the fight. All that matters is that you lost. And this is why MMA is not a really popular sport, because of the fans. It's just like, who would want to be a part of this sport? You give like so much to it. You work your ass off to get to the top of the mountain, and then everyone's your biggest fan, right? And then all of a sudden, once you start losing or you lose a fight, then suddenly everybody hates you. You're washed up. All your They're doing it to Kamaru Usman now. All your accomplishments don't mean anything. Your entire legacy is trash. Blah blah blah. Now, I'm not gonna get into the debate of, is Adesanya the GOAT of middleweight? Is he better than Anderson Silva? I don't think anyone's gonna be better than Anderson Silva ever, because what Anderson Silva was doing is way different than what these modern fighters are doing. I mean, Silva was going up and down two weight classes, knocking guys out, while as the active middleweight champion. I mean, you can't really beat that, and nobody's really gonna beat that, because nobody in MMA takes those kind of risks anymore. But um, I don't believe he's washed. I think if you watch the fight, Israel Adesanya, even though he was down on two of the judges' scorecards, he was still up on one of the judges' scorecards. And, arguably, you could say those other two judges were wrong, because Adesanya did well in round number one. Dreykus started getting too comfortable with the head kicks. I mean, I was getting kind of concerned that Izzy was going to get caught with one of those. But he did well. He stuck to his own pace. It seems, though, that what happened was what a lot of people, because I see a lot of people crapping on the finish. Why wasn't Izzy fighting the hands, blah blah blah, and all this other stuff? Well, he was fighting the hands. He was trying to escape the submission. But if you look at what happened right before that, he gets hit with a shot right behind the ear or to the side of the head, which totally knocked him off his equilibrium. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was a knockdown, because MMA knockdowns are scored a little differently, but he was dropped by it. He was dropped by it. A lot of people say it was a slip. I don't think it was a slip. He got hit on the side of the head, and then he fell. So I think that knocked him off his equilibrium. And as you can see, when he was up against the fence right after that, he was circling towards Dreykus' punches, and his hands were down. It's like, what were you trying to block? His hands were down. He was eating shots, and then he gets taken down, gets his back taken, and gets submitted. I don't think he gave up. I think he just got really hurt, and then Dreykus took advantage of that. Is that possible in MMA? Is it possible to just, does everything have to be like super analyzed? Oh my God, he wasn't motivated. Oh my God, he doesn't care anymore. He's not hungry anymore. What do you mean he's not hungry anymore? He's coming off of a loss and getting a title shot off of a loss, and against. I mean, to be honest, this guy Dricus has been on a roll. He's been on a tear. He finished Robert Whittaker. He finished, come on, he went to war with Sean Strickland. He finished. The guy has not lost in the UFC yet. And you're telling me that that this is a sign of an unhungry person, a guy who doesn't want a championship back? Like, if someone wasn't hungry, Izzy wouldn't care about going after the championship. He wouldn't even come back. Because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to be here. He doesn't have to be in MMA. He doesn't have to be in UFC. Like, if he retired before this fight, his legacy is secured. Now, does this take a shot at Izzy's legacy? Sure, right? I mean, sure. You don't want to, be on a 2-fight losing streak. Now officially, I think he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. So, at least 3 of his last 5 fights. So, and those are all championship fights. So I get it. I understand it, right? But at the same time, you can't tell me that just because Israel Adesanya lost to Dricus and Sean Strickland that, oh my God, now he's just gonna be this bum. You're telling me he can't beat the middleweight rankings? Like, he can't beat a Brendan Allen. He can't beat a Marvin Vettori. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? Like, the middleweight division is not insane depth. And then I hear things about Israel Adesanya's age. The kid is 35 years old. He's 35 years old, and the age doesn't even matter in the upper divisions. We just saw freaking Glover Teixeira win the light heavyweight championship at fucking 50 years old. Okay, I think he was 40 something, but still. And Alex Pereira is older than Adesanya, and he's just been murking people. I don't understand why the MMA discourse is so boring. It's the same thing every time a fighter loses a fight. Oh, the age. Oh, they're not motivated. Oh, they're not hungry. Oh, money. Blah blah. I just think he went into a fight. He did really well in the fight. I don't know why we're ignoring that. He did really well in the fight for a guy coming off a layoff, especially, and he got caught with a good shot, and then he got submitted. I think that's pretty much all that happened. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I watched the fight. I don't think MMA fans don't really watch fights. I think they watch fighters either to hate on them or glaze them. Now, for Dricus' credit, I will say that I think a lot of people are hard on Dricus because of his striking. And come on, this is MMA, right? Not MMA striking is not really that good. I mean, even your favorite fighters, you just gotta think about the fact that Sean Strickland can beat anybody in his division with a jab and a teep kick. I mean, the bar is not high for striking in MMA. I'm just gonna say that, especially in these upper divisions. But he did good. He was finding the left hand. He was doing the leg kicks. I thought his striking was better. It has gotten better. And he got tired, but that's just how Dricus fights, right? I mean, at this point, I think it's obvious that when we think Dricus is tired, it's probably when he's just getting started. That's, I mean, when he's tired, he just keeps the same pace. He doesn't gas out like he gasses, but he doesn't gas out. You'll never see him give up because he just gets too tired. It seems like it's the opposite, actually. But anyway, yeah, I thought it was a great fight. I liked moments from the both of them. Israel Adesanya will come back from this. I mean, you're telling me he can't beat freaking Jared Cannonier again, or Marvin Vettori, or Brendan Allen, or Paulo Costa. It's not like half of he's already beaten half of the division, half of these guys in this division, and I definitely believe he can beat Hamzat. I'm just gonna say that I still believe he can beat Hamzat. Especially if he can get past that first round. But I still believe he can beat Hamza. I still believe that Israel Adesanya can definitely work himself up to another title shot and get a rematch with Dricus. Could he win a rematch with Dricus? Sure. Again, look what he was doing good in this fight. I think it's like really ignorant to write Izzy off, but this is what MMA fans do. This is why you don't see this in other sports, by the way. Like, even LeBron James could have a terrible season, but you won't see everyone just rushing to say, "Oh, he's washed up." Oh, like you'll still see that his individual performances, even when he loses, are still so great, especially for his age. That like only in MMA do you see a fighter goes on a downward trend and that's just it. They're washed up. You see it with Kamaru Usman now. There's no context given. There's no nuance given. Like, let's see. He lost to the last two UFC champions and he lost to Alex Pereira. Like, dude, you see what Alex Pereira is doing now? Destroying people, right? Sean Strickland has a really good record in the UFC. And obviously, Drakkar Klose has not lost in the UFC yet. He's a bull. Like, the guy he's a monster. So, I don't think losing to those fighters makes you washed. Okay, Strickland, I'm gonna be honest with you, Strickland isn't really that good. But, but, you know, like, come on. I mean, anyway, those are just my thoughts on the fight. I want to know what you guys think. What do you think is the future for Israel Adesanya?